So use of Scrum to strengthen team collaboration and relationship. First, let me introduce myself. And I'm a Yahoo Agile coach, Yahoo Japan. And also, I'm instructor of a Rochester strategy and system coaching practitioner. I get the requests from clients and provide the skills and provide values in that process. And also, I also do some translation or interpreting, so I have side jobs. And my history of Agile coach journey is shown here, as you can see on the screen. I have worked in the projects involving the number of multiple locations in multiple countries and using Scrum to develop a product. And now online and on-site hybrid Scrum I support and tend to be a large-scale Agile development projects. In the past, I have supported some of the projects which are available in terms of its description at Tech Blog. And what I am supporting is that the Yahoo Japan and PayPay Card working together, coming up and come up with one product. And we are supporting that with the Scrum. But the two Scrum Masters from the two companies working very hard. And this year's event calendar will have an article on that. I hope you will have a chance to read it and how they are working hard and trying to make this work. And different projects, Tokyo, Fukuoka, Nagoya, Osaka, and Vietnam. Yahoo Japan and group companies I visit in different locations. They all have different corporate cultures and also the country attributes, culture, characteristics, and different culture I find, and the differences. And in fact, those differences generate new ideas. I'm very much interested, and I enjoy those differences in supporting this Agile development projects. Now, when I get a request for support, and typically they want to have a small step, quick releases, and they want to visualize the progress and issues, and also want to adapt to the changes in the requirement and the market and respond to them quickly. And release schedule is set. We have to start the service on that date, and how to really complete the project by then. So it's typically about the project management or product managers, and I go in and help with Agile approach. But once I get into the project, there are a lot of other more deeper issues I encounter. For example, if they want to have a more small step release, and who is deciding that small step? Maybe just single person, or only the handful of people are defining the value, and it's simply ordering people to implement, and they don't listen to any suggestions by other members. Now, and also there is no cross-organizational collaboration, and kind of a sectionalism by component or by the work type and so on, and that further accelerates sectionalism. And then each section try to achieve their own profit for themselves. And so if it doesn't work, then it becomes more like a archaic and start blaming each other and just focus their interest on what they are involved in only and get disengaged from others instead of trying to work for the common goal, and the manager is left with all those difficulties. And even if you introduce the Scrum and simply use the framework, there are a lot of issues that cannot be solved. And there are techniques, obviously, to have a small step releases and visualize issues and progresses, but they don't solve all the problems. And if you try looking into those other problems, typically it's the issue of relationship. And don't you have that kind of experience? And I've been fortunate to be engaged in a lot of teamwork, and the team development is really needs to have a relationship in place. Even with such great skills and much knowledge, if you don't have a good relationship, you can't come up with the good results. And let's say, if what's the condition of a good teams with a good relationship? I have identified 4.
So direct communication. Always there's a frequent communication and dialogue. Those people who want to ask questions, who want to consult them, and those who will be able to respond to these questions. So exchange of knowledge is very fast and it's done in a volume-some way. So in terms of the development flow, is not going to be hampered with communication. So it also contributes to the productivity. Number 2 is a constructive discussion. So in terms of insulting, ignoring, blaming each other, and criticizing, that doesn't happen. Everyone has a very open environment where they can candidly, openly discuss the issues and the matters together. Number 3. It's a totally optimized decision making being done. So in terms of understanding where others are, being able to embrace and understand and decide and discuss. So it's a betterment of the overall. So the decision is contributing to the overall optimized result. And last but not least is the self-management. So in terms of self-management, proactively trying to sell people who are suffering, or maybe supporting them who would like to meet challenge. So there are a lot of collaborations that is going to be amplified and could be very proactive in the action taking. So these are the attribute of the team that is working well. And these team, the improvement of product management, for one thing, that they will be able to support each other and they will be able to communicate together, and there is a positive feedback. They were able to make the decision as a team, and there's going to be a lot of benefit out of this. And from here onwards, this is going to be the main gist of my presentation. So I would like to create and support in creating such a good team. So what have I done? What are the initiatives in helping in creation of these positive teams? I would like to share with you some case studies. And through this initiative, something that I treasure and I believe, and something that I believe is very important in this endeavor is something that I would like to summarize at the end of the presentation. Coming back to Scrum. Well, Scrum is one of the methodology of agile development. But collaboration and also relationship will be improved through these frameworks. So for instance, there is a notion called sprint in Scrum. Within the given amount of time, the team is going to plan, design, and develop, test, and verify anything. So in creating the product, we collaborate in various means. And within that, the team will make a decision and also share some of the issues, help each other and overcome them, and have discussion with the stakeholders, and also improvement of the situation. So in other words, a very frequent communication and dialogues are being exchanged through these processes. The other is product increment. In Scrum team, it's a cross-functional feature team. So the dedicated skill needed for the product are gathered together as a team, leveraging on their proficiency of each dedicated skill, they will be contributing each other to come up with one product. And this is going to be accumulated per sprint by sprint in order to make a better product. So within this, there are people who are expert, and the deliverables of the expert is going to be carried over, handed over. So the handover, hand off is going to be repetitively is going to be made through these processes. And at the same time, Scrum is simple. Only 3 roles involved. The 3 roles, all the things that are done by the team is managed by these 3 roles. So any, of course, role of a title could be involved in any work. So there's also a sense of collaboration in its approach in itself. So Scrum is establishing a collaboration and cooperative environment is this framework. Utilizing this framework, we'd like to enhance the relationship of those people who are involved. So first of all, when I come in as a supporting member and I observe what is going on, and observing and the team and monitoring the team, as I have explained, if there are some tendency that I've seen, which I described earlier in the presentation, then in the sprint retrospective, we have a open session to understand the relationship and enhance understanding interest. So this problem may be led to by this kind of a relationship. We try to find the root cause. And for instance, Mr. Daniel Kim, this core theory of success, I sometimes refer to this his theory. This model is in terms of improve the quality of result and quality of relationship, you need to start off with a good relationship. So if you try to work on the deliverables working backward, that does not lead to a good result. So for instance, in a ultimate situation, if the relationship are not too well, but still they are working to come up with a result, they try to reduce the touch point with each other, and those are the behavioral and also this discussion point to reduce the touch point. So you want to pass over your responsibility, accountability to the others. So sectionalism, it's very clear in terms of what you are in charge and what not. But in terms of a team with good relationship is very proactive in engaging with each other. So if there's a problem, we can help each other, making sure everyone is working okay. We are mindful about the others. We can help the others. So therefore, collaboration, the sense of collaboration, the atmosphere is collaboration there is there. So there's little divide amongst the team members. So through these meetings and working group, we want to agree with the team that our relationship will be further deepened and strengthened. And based on agreement within the team, what I will be engaging on is the so-called Designing Team Alliance, DTA. It's one of the system coaching methodologies that are being frequently utilized. So daily scrum. Once a day with the team, they get together and have a daily scrum. And daily scrum, at this point in daily scrum, this team, within a given day, what was the atmosphere? And to the next daily scrum, what are the sharing that they would need to share amongst the team to be prepared for the next scrum? So, of course, when you say, okay, what would need to be the environment, people would not be able to speak out. So we have to start with a casual approach. So daily scrum, getting together, so each other looking at his face, or maybe asking yourself. So today, here with us together as a team, what do you feel? What do you feel if you are to replace your feeling in a weather? So what the weather will be like, looking at each other's faces. What do you think this environment are that we are creating? It's like an icebreaker.
So we have people speak out, and also check with everybody what is the current atmosphere you find. It seems everybody's too busy, and it seems people are challenging at each other. But people speaking out and voicing, and that brings realization to everybody. You don't have to have everybody speak out. As long as we have a few people. And you don't have to bring everybody's emotion on this aligned. And you start with some people speaking up, and then people understand what is the current atmosphere, and then start talking about what kind of atmosphere they want to have the whole day. They want to be up and running and really work very hard, and different opinions are voiced, and put them onto the sticky notes and put them, and so that everybody can see it, and also what people can do, or what one can do. Let me know if they have a problem. I can always go and help, and so on. And sometimes, let's have a kind of even like a tone of gossiping with each other and enjoy those chit chat, rather. So this gradually you develop the atmosphere through Scrum. If you feel something not right, or relationship with the stakeholders could improve, or if you wish, and other people also express the wish to improve the relationship, then use this sprint retrospect. This model would help. And so we try to improve that within the retrospective. And how it works is that on the paper or whiteboard, you place individuals lined up in a circle, and yourself and other stakeholders, and also events that happened. You just put them on the paper in circle, and start connecting person to person and person with a event. And if it's strong relationship, 2 lines and double line, and a usual connection one. If it is weak, it's a dotted line, and if there isn't a conflict, line with 2 slashes. And each person write this and then share what they each drew, and then start discussing on that. That's the kind of relationship you have. I can see that myself too. That could happen. Yeah. So sharing what you wrote, and then you start thinking about what would be the ideal relationship. And what is important is you don't have to force a relationship to be improved, but really looking back, what kind of relationship would work amongst the people who are involved in the product development. And we discussed and start modeling the ideal relationship team we would like to have. And it may be a short-term ideal relationship, and may have a separate one for long-term. And looking at the relationship diagram you hope to have, and then imagine what kind of atmosphere you'd have, and what you imagined. You put it in a form of drawing, improvisation, and you play out what it will be like, assuming a certain situation. And you act it out. Some people act it out, and some people observe it. And when everybody acts out, and then share what thoughts went to your mind and what kind of feelings you had. And I wish I could speak honestly. And there is no rule necessary in this team. And there are different voices that will be raised. And then go back to DTA and improve. And so in order to get to the ideal situation, what kind of team members want to make, and what kind of ideal. And with the daily Scrum, you develop the team little by day, and with the retrospective, you go over how people feel about it. And Scrum has lots of collaborative work involved, and the product owners and club master team, they have very defined roles, but many cases anybody can do. And for example, setting up the meeting room, writing the minutes, and setup. And also, when there is a silence in the meeting, who will be the first one to speak up? And there are a lot of roles individuals have set on themselves. And when you ask a question, there's somebody who would always answer, and that person is always responds. So in the retrospective, the people who come up with ideas, always this person. When in trouble, ask that person. Or this person always sets up the meeting for everybody. And it may be that some people don't want to do it, but may feel they are obliged to do it. And don't we have anybody who feel that way? And if they don't want to do it, and we should review that. And these are the signs you come to notice. The roles, internal roles, which people didn't want to fulfill for a long time, but they felt they had to do it, or confusion. And that every time there is a confusion amongst the people in the opinions, or the roles are not really fulfilled by the person who should be fulfilling it. And finally, as a team changes, new roles become necessary. And you see these signs. Once you notice those signs, it's a good timing to take another look at the internal roles. And in the past, people have taken the internal roles and first thank people who played those roles and setting up the meetings every time, and people who really changed the mood of the meeting in the midst of silence, and thank each other for what they're doing. And by thanking people, and oftentimes some people identify what they didn't even realize themselves. I was doing this, and other people saw me doing them. And so unraveling internal roles is what happens. And that starts with the disclosing yourself. And at the workplace, in front of the colleagues, there is another self, which you usually don't disclose yourself. It turns out somebody is very meticulous, and somebody is really not careless about the details or whatnot. And the kind of aspect, the side of yourself, which you don't usually show to your colleagues. And what's affecting your roles, and what we call ghosts. And we try to identify those ghosts. And doing this because I'm new, or because I've been here for a long time, because I've made this kind of mistake, or this is what I was told by the president and CEO, or what the supervisor has said, and these we'll try to unravel. And finally, I said that the ghost, and we try to explore the background.
So you're a freshman, you're methodological, you want to be a vital part of the team, then proactively the product backlogs, the DOB, and those management tools, you can sort them out. And setting up meeting. So the cause and the root cause and the result, you can be able to find them. So identify the secret self and the ghost, and afterwards, you are going to sort out the roles that each needs to play. So are you going to continue? Are you going to delegate someone to do this job, or are you going to do away with that responsibility? So far, this is part of it, but this is a way by means of how we can work in enhancing the relationship. So gradually, we will be able to enhance the collaborative spirit in creating the betterment and also an optimal relationship amongst the team. And I'm helping out that out. And this is something that I treasure in my mind. So those of you who already may be engaged in this way of approach, or those may be something that you want to undertake from here onwards, there are 4 things. One is that the relationship, one event or one meeting will not enhance relationship. It's a gradual build-up, and the frequent the event will be or the meeting will be, it is going to be stronger. The daily scrum, maybe spending 5-10 minutes of the daily scrum, or a retrospective, maybe a few minutes are going to be spared. So continuous approach is going to be important, not just having a kickoff. That is in itself is going to be insufficient. The second is your emotion and your counterpart emotion, and also the group emotion. You need to treasure them. If you're not wishing to take that role, you don't have to pretend you're going to be positive in that role. So you want to make the betterment of the relationship, you have to treasure what you feel, how you feel. At the same time, understand yourself. You need to be considerate of the others. What support do they need? What are they feeling? Or maybe understanding and reading what the group's emotions are. Especially having discussion with 2 people. If somebody's watching that, we need to try to unravel what's in between them. So these 2 people, the relationship, the environment, atmosphere, and what is the people observing the discussion of these 2 people. Then we try to expand that to a bigger space, a zone. So then, what is the ambience or the relationship of this team as a whole? So we try to understand and also establish a recognition of that team. And the other is another, Professor Otto Nindels. There are models that has been advocated by this professor called 3 levels of reality model. So as you can see from the bottom, sentient essential level, dreaming level, and consensus reality level. So sentient essential level is like a flash or new ideas in your mind, something that could not be put into form of a word. And dreaming level is a feeling in terms of being sad or happy. And the last is a consensus level, consensus reality level. So execution and planning, it's a very rational based understanding. So innovation always comes from the bottom to the top. There is a new aha moment, and then that's a sentient level, and then they feel this could work out, and this would better the world, and this have a potential. That's a dreaming level. And then putting that into plan and designing that is a consensus reality level. So people would most of the time make their decision in this dreaming level. So therefore, when we talk about emotion is very important. On the other hand, one person is talking on an emotional basis. The other person is speaking from the rational basis, action basis. Of course, that doesn't receive resonance in between 2 people because they're not talking on the same level. So as you can see, which level are you having the conversation with? You need to understand the level. So if you're talking with dreaming level, if you are going to be forcefully try to bring that up to the action consensus reality level, that's impossible. That doesn't work out. And the last point is myself as an agile coach. When we have discussion with the client, we have a coaching mode. So the meta skills are utilized. So I have not been able to fully leverage this capability yet, but I'm working hard so that this meta skill could be contributed for my consulting work. So in terms of overlooking the whole, not only looking at one dimension of the story, but the total story. And also respect. So the various comment, maybe something negative against me, a negative comment against me, I will respect that comment. I treasure that negative comment. Curiosity. So those people who are involved, there are a lot of curiosity that I have on the touch point that I have with different people, and desire to have fun, playfulness. So we need to help them with the client. We need to have a sense of humor and have fun while we do our work. So desire to have fun and playfulness is also important, and seriousness. Of course, since I have the opportunity to be invited as a coach, I need to solve the problem of the client. I would give everything seriously in order to solve those problems. So this time, I have just introduced some of our endeavorment. So for the better team building, I hope that you'll be able to utilize this clues and hints. So if there's anything that comes to mind, I'm very happy. Many things doesn't work as we wish. I still have that problem. But you have to utilize all the levers of your meta skill to do the utmost. The reason why is because I think team building is where people and people relationship need to be at its best. If the people relationship is at its best, it always bring about a fruitful outcome. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Arase. Now we'd like to have a plus talk session, and the question person will try to deep dive into some of the points he has found interesting. And we also would like to get questions. And if you have questions, please use question mark button toward the bottom of the screen. We have Ginpei Misonobu of Line will be asking questions. Misonobu-san, could you introduce yourself? Yes, thank you very much. And Line Delivery and Effective Team Coach. I'm a Agile coach. I'm usually supporting Scrum as well. Okay, thank you. And having heard the session, is there any points you picked up? Yes, first thing I'd like to ask is that for Scrum, you explained the different relationships involved and how to improve them. But the other development process, such as waterfall approach, and what you have described, can they be applied to other type of development process? Yes, of course, you can waterfall, Scrum, or so and so. If it is a team-based development, it is possible to apply and you can incorporate. And let's say for waterfall development, in certain timings or in the daily events, you can take initiative of improving the relationship. Yes, Scrum has a framework which intentionally sets the points and occasions to improve the relationship. And the waterfall, you can also do the same and plan it that way. Thank you. And this time you focused on the quality of relationship. Yes. Let's say once you go and help, and if there is a poor quality in the team and are not coming up with the good results, and do you advise? I find it difficult and to really start saying, well, first you have to improve the quality of the relationship, but how do you start your advice? And that's something I would like to hear.
Exactly. You want to have a short and quick release, but I would start saying, okay, you have to improve your relationship. People would be saying, what? But for a while, I would observe the team. And then at that point in time, as I described the situation, there are criticism and part of the people are making decision and the others are just obeying and people are being dissatisfied. And that state where the issues have submerged, then I would say that is the approach that needs to be taken. I see. So then when it's surfaced, the problem has become surfaced, then the relationship, the cause and the effect is going to be the good timing to talk about that. Yes, it's easier for the client to be convinced when we point that out. So for the client, their current issues is caused by the relationship. So weak relationship. So they would come to understanding that they need to fix this relationship. Yes. Okay. Thank you very much.
And amongst the engineers, some people want to simply write codes, and that's all they're interested. And how do you promote the dialogue with such engineers? And I'm curious how you approach them. What I find it important is that this is something you won't force. And if a client is not interested, and I will not make such proposal. And if they want to become a certain state, and then I can help. If I want to make them to a certain state, and that's not something I'll try to do. Thank you. And as I was listening, the sectionalism, each section trying to pursue their own interest and profit, and that is partly caused by the poor relationship amongst them. But also there's this organizational structure that may make them feel that way. Is there any separation of the relationship versus organizational setup? True. It can be because of the organizational structure or the different missions of organizations, difference in cultures may be causing them. But then try to see what they can control and what the organization has to solve and the organization has to control. So we try to delineate those two. And what they can improve or change, solve, they will do. And if the organization have to change, we'll have them or I will try to work on the person who is making the decision for the whole organization. So you separate them out. And what you have to work with the organization, you go for that.
So, if I can ask a question, which is quite a meticulous detail about DTA. You talked about DTA, and let's say daily Scrum. Running a daily Scrum, you need a certain level of facilitation involvement, and that is every time the coaches and the Scrum Master is going to be in charge of that? Or how do you sort of fix the schedule? I mean, how is that being worked around? Well, the actual case study is that, first of all, I would be the facilitator. I will facilitate at the beginning. And then the Scrum Masters, I would devolve my responsibility to the Scrum Master, and the Scrum Master would devolve that to the team. So that is a typical step. I see. So you show how this could be done as a role model and then pass that over to the team. I see. That's right. So there are some questions from the viewers. And in terms of the relationship, if you have a weak relationship and if that is surfaced, maybe it's too late. So maybe it's a proactive approach needs to be necessary. Is there any proactive approach to this? To not to aggravate the relationship? Is there a way to be proactive? Do you have clues on that?
And you meaning that I'll take the proactive measure or the team take the proactive measure, action? I believe either by the coach or by the team itself. And obviously, there may be some people who feel we wish you could have done this better earlier. And I don't think it's late or early. I'm not in a position to make that judgment. It's the team members who have to understand. And I only share with them, this is how it looks to me. What do you think? And if they feel they have the same understanding, and if also they want to improve the relationship, then I start working with them. And if it's not surfaced yet, and it may be that I noticed something, but the team member didn't notice that, but I found some relationship that can be improved. And to me, it looks this way. How do you look at this relationship? And if the understandings are aligned, then we can start taking actions. So it's the team who has to decide exactly whether they want to take the action or not. Yes, that's correct. Thank you.
The last question is rather complicated. This is my personal interest as well. So, structuralizing the dialogue, you talked about that towards the end of your presentation. So, what's the right timing to utilize this? So, how or what this model will be utilized to enhance understanding? I wanted to know more about that. So, can I ask you the right timing? I think in every scene, every occasion, this could be utilized. If teams are having some discussions or maybe having this dialogue with me, in those occasions, I would say, okay, this person is speaking from a dreaming level. Okay, this people is speaking from sensual senses. So this is now on the consensus level. So in various occasions, I apply this theory, the three level of the theory. I apply to them every often. I see. Thank you very much then. So that's all from me. So thank you very much.